Well, if you like hearing your name on a podcast, this might just be the episode for you. Pretty much everybody who, that's a stretch. There's a lot of people who got a shout out in this episode. So I'm not going to give too many hints. I'm sure you can make your assumptions. It's very career oriented, people who have helped each of us. So you might hear your name, so that's worth listening. I know that we gave Penny the dog a shout out, and we gave Bear a shout out. So, two dogs that we both admire. I hope you enjoy this one. Make sure to rate it on the Apple Podcast store or give me a shout out or like tap me on the shoulder, be like, hey man, I listened to your podcast. That is nice. That's pleasant. Like in person interactions, that's a good thing. I'm kind of shy sometimes, but crack my shell. I dare you. All right, thanks for listening. Welcome to The Lifestyle Chase, Season 2. This podcast features high performers who have found a way to live their best life while balancing their health, wellness, friends, and family. I'm your host, Chris Little. Let's get started. The Lifestyle Chase is brought to you by Yeg Fitness. Yeg Fitness is Edmonton, Alberta, Canada's healthy lifestyle community, creating and supporting active living for all. Check them out online at yegfitness.ca and on social media at yegfitness. You ready for this?
Yes.
All right, so welcome to the Lifestyle Chase, episode 64, and I'm here with the one and only Amber Dawn. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. So, how'd your day go today? What did you do at the beginning of the day? When did you wake up? Tell me about your routine today.
So I actually had a nice holiday Monday. I met up with a couple girlfriends that I lived with and spent most of the day at Evolve North, lifting some things up and putting them down.
Excellent. So, if you had to, say you're the selection panel for roommates, which characteristics would you look for in picking a good roommate?
Oh man. Okay, well, cleanliness and tidiness is very important. They'd have to be, I guess, respectful of the time that I am at home. So if they work different shift than I do, which I don't spend a lot of time at home. I'm usually at the gym working a lot. So, oh man, this is actually a tough question because I live by myself. So if I were to have somebody come in here, I'd want them to be clean, not loud, preferably a non-smoker. That is a major important factor in a roommate. And I think somebody that doesn't like to party every weekend. I might sound boring, but I don't care. I'm 28, but I feel like I'm 68 some days.
Well, people have their ways that they got to be where they are, and once they figure that out, they don't want anybody to mess with it. So if somebody comes in and starts partying, that's going to mess with your way of finding your success and your happiness.
Yes, and communication. I should definitely say that. Communication is key in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
If you have a roommate that cannot communicate with you, whether it's just in general or about any issues that you have living together, well, that just creates a bigger issue. Communication is key.
Absolutely, and that goes with friends, family, dogs, cats, everything. On a very, very serious note, the better you are at communicating, the more you get out of life.
Absolutely.
What's your best way to break the ice with people?
I usually chirp them.
That's a good one. In the last 2 weeks, what's the funniest chirp that you've ever had, that you've delivered?
The funniest chirp that I've delivered in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah. I'm sure there's been 4. It's a good chance. You've been spending a lot of time in the gym.
I chirp people on a daily basis.
There you go. So you gotta pick your best one.
Oh. Okay, this might be... This isn't 2 weeks ago, but it's the one that's coming to mind. I don't go out very often. People are going to listen to this and they're going to think I'm such a dick. But I had gone out with a girlfriend and we are at the bar talking to the bartender, and we're talking about the gym, and he asks lifting questions, and I made a comment that you should probably get back into the gym because you are small. I'm an asshole.
What did he, like, did that hurt his feelings, or did he come back at you with something else?
No, he didn't come back at me with something else. He just kind of nodded and said, yeah, you're right. It's like, well, you took it okay. But he was not happy because he stopped serving me drinks.
Oh, that will happen.
I was just being honest.
It can be
I was just being honest.
very deflating.
And there's nothing wrong with being small. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't take back what I said. So, I'm
What
sorry.
bar was that at?
It was at Avenue, which I don't go to very often, but my friend is a bouncer at Avenue, so we went to hang out, I guess.
Sweet.
And yeah, so that happened.
That's fair. It's understandable. So, if you were to describe yourself as a trainer, what would be 5 points, like 5 bullet points to describe yourself?
5 bullet points to describe myself. Passionate. Definitely passionate. Committed. I want to say I'm aggressive, but I'm aggressive in all aspects of life too. But I'm aggressive towards... I don't like excuses. I think anybody can achieve anything they set their heart and mind to. And if you're going to work with me, we're going to work hard. And so I would say I'm aggressive in that matter, if that makes sense.
Yep.
4th and 5th, as a trainer, compassionate and, oh man, number 5, relatable.
I like that. So what makes you relatable?
I think the fact that I'm quite transparent with the majority of people. I am very open about my struggles, whether it's with my eating disorders that I've talked about, whether it's with just life struggles or even like lifting struggles. Like I remember what it was like to be a beginner. I still struggle every day with my training. And I would say that just being transparent in general helps people relate to you. I don't like to hide anything. If somebody comes to me with something, I'm able to open up and express my own struggles to help them understand that you're not alone.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's one of the biggest things. Like if personal training and working with people is a very emotional thing. And if they feel like they can relate to you or you can relate to them, then your relationship can grow with that client and then they'll stick with you.
Yeah. So let's take a time machine to 5 years ago. What was life like for you 5 years ago?
2014. I was coming to the end of a long-term relationship. I was in a 7-year relationship. And I'm 28. That's ridiculous. I just kind of started in the gym. August 2014 is actually when I started working with Anthony Harder. He was my first personal trainer. I consider him my first. I did have one before, but she wasn't a very great trainer. So Anthony is what kind of kickstarted it for me. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism in 2014, and I had to sit long and hard with myself and kind of come to terms with the crap that I had done to my body. I gave myself hypothyroidism, basically. Put on 40 pounds in 4 months because my hormones basically decided to go against me. And I walked into World Health one day and I was like, I just want to learn how to lift and I want to do it right. I don't care about fat loss. I just want to get strong.
Yeah.
And welcome Anthony Harder. And it all changed from there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if you What would be the differences in how you described yourself then versus how you describe yourself today?
Confidence. I would say confidence is the biggest change. Obviously, that can come with age too, but I walked into the gym, or I just like walked around in life at that time very enclosed. I didn't know how to be me at all. I dedicated myself to the person I was with, so I had no idea who Amber was. And I slowly started to kind of like peel away layers year after year. And me today, of course, I still have confidence issues, I still have insecurities, but I'm very comfortable with the person that I am today. Very, very comfortable.
So if you had like, because a lot of people have like sort of self affirmations or just things that they say to themselves, kind of like hype. What's your most effective hype? Like if you're having a shit day, what pulls you out? What kind of thing that you would describe yourself as?
So there's like it's actually, I have it on my belt, my lifting belt, and the meaning has kind of changed over the years, but then again, it hasn't. I got the words never settle put on my belt, and back then I got it on my belt simply because I was a fan of Dana Lynn Bailey and Rob Bailey, and they kind of, I guess, lived by that term. It was on a lot of their stuff. I think Rob Bailey and the Hustle Standard had a song, but as I got older and kind of went through life, I just kept learning, like, okay, never settle for anything less than what you are truly worth and what you feel that you are worthy of. It all comes down to you. Nobody can tell you what you're worth. Nobody can tell you that this is what you should settle for. And you should just simply never settle for anything at all. I think we can always continue to grow, continue to be better, and if we decide to settle with life, then what are we doing? So if I'm not happy with something, but it might be easy to go down that route rather than go the difficult route, I just tell myself, you're not going to settle for that. Whether it's like a boy or a job or an offer that might come in, anything. You know there's something better out there for you. If this isn't what's going to truly make you happy, if you're not going to be satisfied with this, walking away from it, don't settle.
I like that. When's the most recent time that you've had to really pull that?
So I competed back in August, and it was actually a very difficult competition. The prep leading up to it was really, really difficult. There was a lot of emotional aspects, and I wanted to pull out probably every week. And I just kept telling myself all the time, you know, this might not be something that you wanted to do, but you're not going to settle for anything less than a bigger total, or you being satisfied that you still did the meet. It was like I couldn't not do it. I had to prove to myself that I was strong enough to pull through and do it regardless. And I would say that is the most recent time that I didn't settle for anything than what I knew I could achieve at that time.
It's good. And it's good, like, self-awareness. Like, sometimes we're not enlightened enough to sort of, like, know what we're capable of. Like, we're just always selling ourselves short. What was your sort of TSN turning point where you found more of what you had for potential? Like, what enlightened you the most?
In general, like in life?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I guess feedback. I started getting feedback from people. Today, a lot of our lives are on social media, right? We can't deny that. And I just became more and more open on social media, opening up about my struggles and like really my social media was just it started with lifting and life, and then it grew into something where I guess I just wanted to uplift people somehow. If my message could reach someone and it could help change their day from bad to good, then I'm going to speak about it.
Totally.
And I started getting feedback, I guess, through social media, and a part of me kind of realized that maybe there was more to this. Maybe I should share more. And when it comes to personal training, I remember I told myself I was never going to do it. I remember telling Anthony that I will never do what you do. And the more I started loving training and wanting to help people, the more that changed. But I went down the route of I don't want to just help people get physically strong. Like there's something that I want to do with people emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Because I've gone through some really shitty dark times and I didn't really have anybody to help change my life, and help me realize that there are better things out there. And I'm going to bring him up like probably more than once, but like Anthony really helped me realize that there was more potential out there for me. And that's kind of when it all clicked. I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to be less about changing people physically and more about helping them change in those other aspects, because that's where I grew the most. It's not about the physical. It's not about that like picking weight up. It's about what goes on in my heart, in my head, and in my soul. And I want to give that to other people.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I think that's a lot of people's style, and different personality types have different ways of expressing that. Some people are more closed off, and they're just like, oh no, like we're looking to be healthy and fight osteoporosis and all these other like tangible things, because emotions are really hard to describe, and you can be perceived as being like weak for talking about emotions, but when it comes down to it, like the better you can articulate and express emotions, the more like self-aware you are, and at the end of the day, the more resilient and strong you are. What was the toughest obstacle that you faced in the year 2019?
Oh, jeez. The year 2019 has seemed to be one of relationships, and I mean relationships as a whole. I am a very all-in person, and that goes with friendships, relationships. Like, I'm just all in regardless. I'm going to be your number one cheerleader, your best friend, your biggest supporter, and I've gained some solid relationships, but I've also been through some really poor relationships this year, and that has been very hard. It's hard to invest yourself into people, and either be like taken for granted or basically not treated the way that you would treat somebody else, and that's very hurtful. So I would say that's probably the biggest challenge I've been through in 2019. But at the end of the day, there's always lessons.
Yeah.
And I'm only going to leave the year stronger because of it. So
It's kind of funny because I was going to be like, but life throws you lessons. And you already articulated it. I was like, she's on point. She knows the path. She knows the next thing. How would you describe that lesson? Like if you were writing your book, your like biography or whatever they would call it if you're writing it for yourself. In any case, how would you describe it?
how would I describe that lesson?
Just like you're trying to save somebody else from that trouble. And everybody has to kind of grow through what they go through.
Yeah.
But you had some takeaways.
Well, the takeaway from, I guess, the lesson would be Amber needs to get harder. I have a hard time, I guess, putting myself first.
Yeah.
And saying no. So I guess one of the lessons, because there's multiple, but one of them is simply like, you come first.
Totally.
And if said relationship is not, I want to use the word benefiting you, then you need to look at that relationship and is there something you can do to fix it, or do you need to cut it off? And it can be very hard to cut off a relationship, whether it is like your spouse, your partner, or it's a friendship. Like, none of them are easy. But if you are not feeling good in this relationship, you got to put your foot down and say enough is enough. And and I'm still learning how to do it, but that was one of the lessons that I need to learn and continue to learn. And I've definitely gotten better. Another one is red flags. If there's somebody that walks into your life and you start getting all those red flags coming up, don't ignore them.
That's your intuition.
That's your intuition, and your intuition is like never really wrong. So, those two lessons for sure.
Totally. And it segues into boundaries. So, like, boundaries are something that can be taken on any level. So, like, personal, professional, with a dog, with a cat. Like, say, because we want to make this as relatable as possible to anybody. Mm-hmm. Say I am allergic to cats. Well, my boundaries would be, like, if I get too close with cats, that is going to mess up my life. So I have to set my boundaries, and cats can't get too close. I can't spend too much time with cats. And it's nothing personal with that cat, but for me to be healthy and whole and just thriving, I need to set that boundary.
That's correct. I struggle with boundaries.
It's tough. I think a lot of people do, and especially like empath personality types. Mm-hmm. But it's that whole, like, the more you know about yourself, the more empowered you are. So knowing that you have requirements that need to be, like, you have boxes that you need to check. And I like to kind of reflect on those as, like, our core values. Yeah. So our things, and those are the things, or non-negotiables. And it's like, those are buzzwords. I really like to just drop those words like crazy. But the things that you can't be without in a week. And if somebody takes you further away from those, then that's no good. So you draw your boundaries and you're like, no, you can't. You're taking me further away from my non-negotiables. With that being said, what are your non-negotiables? What are your things that in every week have to happen to make you feel joyful and happy and just freaking awesome?
2 things for sure. I need to lift and I need to sleep.
Totally. Those are good ones.
Yeah, I go to bed at the same time every night, and I'm getting my 8 hours. Otherwise, I'm a miserable human being. But, I mean, I'm competitive right now, so sleep is very important for my recovery. And when I got into personal training, training myself was one thing I refused to give up. I've seen a lot of trainers come in, and all they do is train people all day. But training for me it's therapeutic. It's what I really love to do. And if you give up that one thing you love to do, you're not going to be good for your clients. So those are 2 things that I definitely need within my week. I need communication with my friends for sure. Love talking to my friends, whether it's just brief. And what else? I get my ice cream once a week. I need that on Friday or Saturday. So that's become a nice little thing that I require once a week that I've started to enjoy.
It's legit. It's like a jet plane needs jet plane fuel. Yeah. You need ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't get pizzas often, but like that would be pretty sweet to do that once a week too.
I ordered pizza for the first time in like a year and a half last night. I was like, oh man, that was something else. It's not like I don't eat the pizza. I just haven't ordered it delivered to my door in a long time.
Well, neither had I. Like, I did the same thing. So after my last competition, I ordered pizza for the first time in my apartment by myself. I was like, this is glorious.
Yeah. It was really cool. Because, like, my background, I used to eat a lot of ordered in pizza.
Yeah.
And I'd have beer kicking around the house. And that's kind of what led me to have the life lesson that, hey, I have potential that's untapped, and I'm really like letting that go by the wayside because I'm not self-aware enough to realize that there's more to life than numbing away an unfulfilling job with beer and pizza. That's like the long story short of it.
Yeah.
And so then to order that pizza, I was, ooh, this is nice, but nice in moderation.
Yes. Yeah, it would be nice to do it all the time, but then it can become kind of an issue.
Well,
if
yeah.
that's what you're doing all the time.
But that goes with anything, because it's not necessarily because like people are like, no, don't call a food a bad food. It's just it's food.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I could be like, oh well, I'm going to have some raw peas and I'm going to have some kale. Well, if I ate a whole bunch of that stuff all the time, I would have health problems just the same.
Oh, yeah, there's orthorexia.
But,
That's having disordered eating where all you do is eat too healthy. Yeah.
So like too much of anything is bad, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
With respect to you being a trainer now, and then 5 years ago you were walking into World Health looking for a trainer, what would happen if there was future Amber and past Amber and they met each other? Would you be able to train your past self, or would it take somebody else to train your past self? Would you scare your past self with all the yelling? Lift it up!
Oh, well, there's still some of that old Amber, that younger Amber. Could I train my younger self? You know, I don't think so. I honestly don't. And I know there were times where, like, I'm sure Anthony wanted to strangle me. And I'm very grateful that he did not. But Anthony was very tough love, which I am also tough love. I'm a little softer. Maybe that just comes from being a female. I don't know. I'm a little more emotional. But I need that tough love. And I think there are parts of me that could have worked with my older self, I guess younger self. But I think I would have just wanted to, again, strangle myself. Because there's so much, like, from the outside looking in, like, me in those years, I look back and I'm like, what were you doing? Like, there was so much that you shouldn't have been doing, that you could have walked away from. Like, why were you still in that relationship, and why were you doing this and that? And I'm a very stubborn person, so it would be like two, and I'm just kidding, I'm an Aries, so it would be like two rams, like button heads all the time. So I don't think it would have worked out all the time, no.
I think that's a conclusion a lot of people can come to, and that's why it is so great. Like, I have reflected on, like, the role of technology in society a lot lately, because everybody feels like they're really connected, but they're not really connected. And so forming bonds with people at your workplace, in the gym, whatever it takes, where you're able to just, like, put your shit on the table and they're like, oh yeah, I see that, and meet you where you're at, like, that is important.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what happens. Like, you went to the gym, you put your shit on the table. Anthony was like, yeah, okay, we can work with that. And, like, not all of it is going to match up, but enough of it matches up that you both walk away better. Like, he would have been a better trainer for having trained you,
right,
and you're a better human for having been trained by him, and you both walk away with something better. And it's kind of like you briefly alluded to your previous trainer, and, like, this is going to happen. Like, not everybody's going to click, but, like, it didn't match. You didn't become a better client, they didn't become a better trainer. Hopefully they found somebody where they became a better trainer and they found what they like.
Yeah.
And it's neat, because then the more of these connections that you can make in your life, the more you adapt and evolve and become a better person, which is, like, one of my favorite things about a podcast, is because, like, I'm just, like, hacking my way into other people's lives. I'm like, haha, I am doing the self-development of myself. by talking to people for at least like an hour a week, if not more.
Yeah.
It's like the coolest hack, and that's why on my social media I'll be like, you gotta like just plan like a coffee with somebody, or like just go shoot the shit with somebody, because honestly, it is so important for mental health. And we're excusing it because we have this social media where we can just like send somebody a DM and be like, oh, just checking in on you, hoping you're okay. And it's like they send the 3 heart emojis and they're like, I'm doing just fine. But they're not really. Or if they were, it's not giving them like we chatted a bit off air about energy and stuff, and it's a real thing. Like some people have good energy, some people not so great energy. And you have to be open to experiencing all the energy, but aware of, like you say, the red flags and like the boundaries. So you let the good energy in, you set your boundaries for the bad energy, learn from it, learn to like work with it, because inevitably in life, like some people are just wired certain ways. You can't really just change who they are, but you can change who you're surrounded by in order to thrive. Because if you're surrounded by people who don't let you thrive, that's your environment. It's going to affect all your outcomes. It's not good. That's poo poo.
Well, you don't get to choose the people that you're around all the time either. So you need to be able to, we said adapt. You have to adapt to all these different energies.
You got to navigate the landscape of people.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of different people out there.
Totally. So I want to know about like 3 people that you admire, look up to, or whatever you want to say. But 3 people and why? What stands out about them for you?
That is a really tough question.
They don't have to be local. It can be if you look up to like The Rock. You mentioned The Rock. Whatever you got to do.
Oh, wow. I'm just trying to run through the list of people that I follow closely or pay attention to. That's a loaded question.
I got all kinds of crazy good questions.
I think first and foremost, he's not around anymore, but my dad was someone that I really still look up to, still admire. He died in 2011, and he was the kind of person that was always there for people. Whenever they needed him, he was there. He would drop everything and help family, friends. He'd work multiple hours of overtime just because he was asked to, because he knew it would be beneficial, not only to his status but to the company that he was working for. And he raised me in a way where, well, my dad was my best friend. He believed in me and knew that I could do anything I wanted. And in the back of my mind, whenever I'm struggling, it's I think about my dad, and like, if he could believe that I could do this, then I can believe that I can do this. And he was just my number one fan in anything I did. He taught me a lot of really valuable lessons that I'm just kind of learning now. But he is the one person in my life that I definitely admire. And I will say my mom too. These might be obvious answers, but my mom and I don't have like the tightest relationship. But I definitely admire her for what she has gone through and what she did for me growing up, and especially as a little girl. And there's, I think, things that we want to take away from our parents and things that we don't want to take away. But my mom is loved by a lot of people because the type of woman she is, the type of friend she is. She's a very caring and giving person. And if I can be like that, then I'm totally satisfied with that. So that's 2 people, and I'm sorry if they're obvious. A lot of people probably think, well, mom and dad. But off the top of my head, I would say those 2. And a third, oh man, that is a tough one. I'm trying to think of some. I guess so there's an athlete. Her name is Christy Sine. She's Krispy Kremes on Insta. She's been probably one of my favorites for a little bit. She's strong as hell. She kind of got into strongman a little bit here a while back too, and she's going to nationals. She's all about uplifting women and strength is beautiful, and this all sounds like super corny and super cheesy, but like I just love what she stands for. I really admire the work that she does. I admire her transparency. I admire how just like she's kind of just like hard as fuck. She's like, you're gonna like what I have to say, or you're not gonna like what I have to say, but I don't really care because I'm gonna say it. And there's a lot more women out there that are starting to be like that, because women were pushed down for many generations. We weren't allowed to speak our minds, and now women are kind of coming out and just being like, fuck that. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to say how I feel, and you're going to like it or you're not going to like it. And you can think I'm a bitch for it, but that's your problem. So, and I totally admire that. And that is the type of woman that I very much want to be. So.
That was awesome. And like you say, like so many people think talking about their parents is cliche. I think it's a great characteristic, and I think a lot of people tend to answer that way. And like that's parents have kids because they want their legacy to continue, and they're putting everything that they have into their kids. And so for a kid to sort of see that in their parents is pretty cool. I like that.
I think my mom would probably be a little shocked hearing that, because like I said, our relationship is not, it's not the greatest. She's not my best friend. Like I would love to be best friends with my mom, but we just don't have that relationship. But I do love my mom, and I'm like, I admire a lot of qualities about her, and she has been amazing in a lot of different ways. So I 100% appreciate her. And as I said, I would love to take away some qualities from her and be like her in different ways.
Yeah, that's perspective, because like it's not everything's a fairy tale, and I never want to paint that picture, because like there's so many different dynamics to family, and I always like to outline that like just because I ask about a person's family too is like you still have like friends that are like family. Like,
Absolutely.
I can't count on one hand how many friends that I have that feel more like siblings than friends, which is neat, because when you're seeing it that way, you're fostering those good, like that good communication, because you're not just gonna excuse yourself to be able to like DM a friend that you consider family. Like if they're in trouble or if they're feeling down, you like get in the car or you get on the scooter and you go over there. I said scooter because like there's scooters all over town. It's just like scoot, I'm on my way.
It's the easiest way to get around now.
Have you tried one of those scooters?
I have not.
I've also not. I don't plan to. I have nothing against them, but it's just walk. Like, yeah, I like walking is cool. What's the furthest distance in Edmonton that you've had to walk? And I don't need to know the context, just the distance.
Well, I have to give you the context because I don't know the distance.
Okay.
I used to work International Beauty Services, which I believe is on 149th. It's right by the Space and Science Center, so the Telus World of Science.
Yeah.
And I lived on 82nd Street over by the Coliseum, let's say that, to kind of give you a general idea of where that is. I walked from work to home. So Telus World of Science, all the way to, say, like Rexall Place.
Yeah.
I made the decision, it was a nice day, that I'm going to walk home.
Did you learn some life lessons on that walk?
I learned that wearing flats is really stupid.
Oh, that's a life lesson right there.
And it was the middle of summer, and I was in like black tights, like legging tights, and it was I just wanted to be in shorts really badly.
But it was all in daylight?
Yeah. It
That's
was
good.
like middle of the day. I wouldn't make that decision in the middle of the night. No.
Would you walk that walk in daylight again today?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, why not?
But probably not in flats.
Nope, I would probably wear a pair of Vans or something a little bit more comfortable, rather than like those ballet flats that are really awful for your feet.
Yeah. So, interesting. What was life like working? It was like an international beauty store?
Yeah, so it was basically it's a place where estheticians or hairdressers go, and they pick up their supplies. So
Like
it's not
the Princess Auto for people who do like girly things.
Kind of, but it's not open to the public. You have to actually have
Ah.
like your, say, let's call it a red seal. Anybody that's listening to this that does hair or does that will understand what that is. But like, you couldn't just walk in off the street. It's not like a Sally Beauty where they do sell to the public. It was just, you had to actually have your, I cannot remember what it's called, but you had to have your seal to actually be a hairdresser or an esthetician or like a massage therapist to shop there.
So what inspired you or led you to work there?
Quite frankly, I just needed a job.
Yeah, that happens. It's interesting. What was your favorite thing about working there? Because, like, no matter what the job is, no matter how much we enjoyed it or disliked it, there's always going to be one little thing that was a takeaway that was a positive.
I actually really enjoyed working there because I loved learning about, I liked learning about coloring of hair, like the process of hair coloring, or when it came to like manicures or pedicures, just there's science behind it, and I always found that very intriguing. So I did actually enjoy learning. We were allowed to actually go to classes that some of the hairdressers would put on, or the stylists. I'm totally butchering this, but there was educational classes that were put on, and we were allowed to attend. So it was anything that I could learn, I was totally down to do. So.
And it's undeniable that it would help you as a trainer, but how would you describe how it helped you as a trainer today?
Well, being in customer service, you're working with people all the time. I face different people. But I worked in customer service previous to that. I worked in Starbucks for about 4 years, and that was much more customer service than anything. And I would totally go back and do it again if I ever had the chance.
But I also look at the point, like we've talked about, people are self-conscious, and I think everybody on earth is self-conscious. I talked to some people about how they express how self-conscious they feel, and they downplay themselves. I'm like, look, like, you just told me somebody you look up to. Let me tell you something. They are as self-conscious or more self-conscious, and they just went through more shit. And so they have the tools in their toolkit to battle that at a more rapid pace. So working in an industry that is, in some cases you're like highlighting the things that you're really proud of. Right. In some cases you're masking things that you're not proud of. There's so many dynamics to it. But it's going to teach you so much about like self-consciousness and stuff like that. How do you apply that to your training?
I suppose when you look at it, it's a very image-driven place to work. I suppose you're dealing with image head to toe. Going from that and what I can take away from that and how it can make me a better trainer, I guess. Well, the kind of people that I got to see on a regular basis were very... let's
put together,
very, oh man, this is going to be a bad term, I think, but almost like pretentious in a way. That might sound really, really bad, but
I feel like you have a way to make it sound much lighter.
Very... No, I don't really.
Okay.
Some of the people that I dealt with, because they're not all like this, but some of the people that I had to work with on a regular basis walked around like their shit didn't stink. And I'm sorry, but everybody's shit stinks.
Oh, yeah.
And going from that, which can be very difficult, people like, or entitled. There's like an entitlement almost. I'm going to have people that work in the salons hate me and never want to do my hair, which is why I don't get it cut.
Well, I feel like...
But I'm totally coming off the wrong way. You're dealing with a lot of insecure people that, say, like, had stuff done to their face, so they're constantly focused on the exterior, and that could be draining.
Yeah.
Because I don't put emphasis on the exterior as much as I do the interior. So I guess the takeaway from that would be like, this is so not important. Like, I'd rather invest my money in working with the trainer than doing my hair or my nails or my eyelashes all the time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So But I still don't take back anything I did say because there's a lot of people like that come off that way when they are so focused on the exterior, but really they're dealing with a lot of insecurities.
Well, I think it's important to talk about that because it's kind of like, it's a little bit with like what a person does to the energy in a room. And for someone who is looking to make changes in the gym, a lot of that stems from their self-image. And self-image can be changed more in like the little actions that you take for yourself than like actions in like how you treat yourself, how you talk about yourself, the effort that you put in,
Right.
the potential that you see. And that's what like creates a strong person. Like a strong person isn't necessarily like, oh man, I've never seen that person crack, I've never seen them cry, I've never seen them upset. Like a strong person is to be able to express that in whatever way seems natural and be unwavering in that and then continuing on.
Right.
And so you saw a lot of people that would seem like, oh well, that person is there, you can't crack them, they're bulletproof, their shit don't stink. That is strength. But then you're able to go into the personal training industry to be able to show people what strength really is. In that when you're able to like be like, look, like I had some shitty shit happen, and that's like the most I've ever said shit in the podcast. Woo, new record. So being able to overcome these things, express those things, have like your little words that you reflect on when times get tough, like that is strength. And then people, when they're drawing their boundaries, because every client that you work with, you want to set them up with the tools to succeed.
Right.
And so you don't want to send them off with no toolbox and be like, oh well, if you brush up your makeup and you wear nice new clothes, then you'll be good, you'll be set, and you lost your weight, you're set, you're good to go. It's more so like you want to instill in them the self-awareness to know how to navigate all of the ebbs and flows of life and how to be like strong both mentally and physically, to have this product of self-awareness in which they will know what their boundaries are.
Right.
Because just like you have your stuff that you navigate, I have stuff that I navigate. We both have like our ups and downs in the year 2019, but we have that self-awareness that we walk away from. We have those lessons that we learn from, and we want to instill that in our clients as well, which is neat. Yeah. And like that's like I ramble a lot, but
no, I do too, and I can like go on, and Instagram doesn't have enough time in the stories for my rambles sometimes.
Well, you get the special app, and then it lets you put in longer stories.
Don't tell me that. But having been in that industry, that you very much you kind of explained it how I was trying to explain it. Like the people that I dealt with weren't they. That's not how they were. It was what they gave off.
Yeah.
Like people put on an act to make themselves seem confident. And
you saw people that forgot their toolbox at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if I had time to sit down with some of these people, they would let that wall maybe come down, and you would see that they are not actually like that, but that is just how they come off to hide their insecurities. And with what we do as trainers, we want to break that wall down and see the insecurities of people and show them that those insecurities aren't necessary.
Yeah.
And help build them back up.
But it's neat because like there's still people that are navigating their own journey. Mm-hmm. And they'll see Exhibit A, which you described walking into a beauty salon, of this person that everything seems happy. Is that my greatest path to joy? I think so. That's what it looks like. It looks like they're happy, so I will just go directly to that. Like you see the weight loss challenges.
Yeah.
Get your beach body, and like that beach body bullshit. Like if you got a body, you go to the beach.
No, exactly.
And it's just happiness comes from something much more than that end goal, that exterior. Like no amount of like Becky Sue lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. That's not joy. That is probably a lot of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know that their toolbox is full of all the things that they need in life.
But I want to reiterate that there's also nothing wrong with wanting to take care of yourself on the outside, like aesthetically. And, and like if you want to get your eyelashes done, if you want to take care of your hair and get it styled, if you want to wear makeup to the gym, like if that's what you like to do, then do that.
100%.
I was someone that like I went barefaced all the time. I still go barefaced, but like I now like I wear a little bit of mascara every day because like it does make me feel better, and it also helps me be a little bit more presentable on the job. So if people see me in the gym, like I look more prepared, I guess, as a trainer, you know, because I'm coaching people during certain hours, and then I'm also training myself, so I have to look a certain way almost all the time. And people that want to look a certain way, that's on them. There's nothing wrong with that.
I completely agree, and on the basis that like these people that are preparing themselves, like, or that's a weird way to put it, preparing themselves. People who are getting their makeup done, or if it's a dude, like the person that like gets that edge on their beard just right, or does their hair just super tight and looks great. That's good. But we both have this overarching desire to make a person more bulletproof. So we're cool if the bullet looks shiny, but we want it to be effective. Like we want people to go out and be movers and shakers in the world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if the mover and shaker looks glamorous, we want it to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's so many like great trainers out in the world that are so well put together, and so many like clients. Like I have a client, she's a makeup artist, and she always is quite well put together, and yeah, like that's great. That's a special skill, and my role is to make it so that if anybody tries to like mess with her mentally or physically, she has all the tools in her toolkit to be like, I'm looking good, and you can't mess with me, and I can lift this stuff up.
I immediately thought of I can't remember what they're actually called, but like those, I think they're Ukrainian or Polish eggs.
Oh yeah.
That are all painted pretty on the outside, but they're completely hollow on the inside. I don't know why that came to mind, but it's like you can look great on the outside, but if there's nothing on the inside to help you when somebody comes to crack you,
yeah,
what do you have?
Totally. And that comes down to how well we know ourselves and how good our roster is around us. Mm-hmm. Like, you become the people that you are surrounded by.
Yes.
So we've talked about people that you look up to. Let's quickly point out, like, 5 people that you are surrounded by, like your entourage, that, like, they are your ride or die kind of people.
Oh, wow. Oh, there's been people that I've been surrounded by for a few years now, and some people that I've just met. I just want to bring up Evolve Downtown, first of all, because the people that I get to work around every day are such solid human beings, and I am so incredibly grateful that I get the opportunity to work with the people that I do. Like, I never thought in a million years that I would be a part of such a cool family. Like some of the OG trainers that we have there, and even the new ones that we're getting to know, it's like those people are my family, and there's a number of them, so if like 5 doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be doing what I am doing still if I didn't have the support from those people. So like trainers downtown, people that work downtown, they are incredible. And like the Evolve family as it is, I've met a lot of other trainers from the other Evolves, like you're Evolve South now, Andrew Coates from Evolve South, Michael Diedrich, Evolve South. North, there's Jordan Taylor, who actually goes back to World Health Clairview days when I was working with Anthony, and like Jeremy Bell, and like been surrounded by some pretty amazing people for a long time, and they have also like inspired me to keep doing what I'm doing. So there's like, I don't know how many people, 20 people, let's say, around there. It's quite a few people.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
What I like to see is you talked about a lot of people, and I think about where they're at in their careers. They're freaking killing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
it's
Michael Dietrich is appearing on TV. I don't know when that's going to come
Mountain
up.
Mike, when did that happen? Like, so I went on the first hike with Mike as a spur of the moment thing with a girlfriend, and I had no idea who the heck he was. I didn't know that he had been on Andrew and Dean's podcast, and I'm like, oh, this guy looks familiar, but I don't know. I have no idea who he is. One of the coolest people I've ever met.
Very real
He's
dude.
like crushing it.
Yeah.
It's like this. He just blew up in the last, I'd say, year.
And the crazy thing is, like, I've had the opportunity to really dive down the rabbit hole with a lot of, like, Edmontonian people where it's like, oh, yeah, man, like, it just took off. It's just, like, they put in a few years and it just, like, took off from there. But, like, if you look at Mountain Mike's old stuff, like, he's been plugging away, putting out useful information for years. He's put in the time, and, like, finally, after years and years of putting in the time, he finally, like, got something from all that hard work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't show you that some people get lucky. It shows you that hard work and consistency pays off, but you have to, like, through all the tough times, because everybody that I know that has had a big win has had to overcome some really heart-wrenching stuff.
And I've spent some time with Mike, and he's definitely, like, if anybody's talked to him, he's been through some shit.
Yeah.
And he isn't where he is today just because it was handed to him.
Yeah, he earned it.
Yeah.
And, like, he is someone that I respect quite a bit. I always look forward to seeing him around the gym because, like, he has a good aura.
Yeah.
A good energy.
Great energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish he would bring Bear more often, but that's just wishful thinking.
Well, maybe he'll listen. Mike, bring Bear more often, just
yes,
for Chris.
Please.
Please. And if you do, let me know, and I'll come by also, because I love and miss Bear a lot.
Totally. And then Andrew Coates, T-Nation author now.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he comes from the old World Health days, and he's just exploding, doing his own podcast, like him and Dean, and T-Nation, and what else is he doing? I mean, he's kind of running the show.
He's building his online business.
Yeah.
He's drinking Giant's milk. It seems to be paying off.
Yeah, and he's just your big old redheaded troll.
Yeah.
I mean, that in the nicest way.
But I mean, like, when he walks somewhere fast, he kind of, like, poop a little bit.
Oh my god. I remember going to Costco with him and nobody fucked with us. No.
What was his, like, Costco haul like? Like, was it a full shopping cart?
Oh yeah. Always the same thing too, though. I mean, like, I'm very much the same. But yeah, you got your Greek yogurt, you got your turkey, ground turkey, eggs, and ice cream.
Sweet.
Yeah, he liked his ice cream. But, like, for a guy that big, he needs to eat a lot of calories.
Oh, for sure.
Throws ice cream in his shakes every morning. I don't know if he's released that little secret, but
It's
a little
out.
bit of ice cream. Sorry, Andrew. I learned a lot living with him, but he's, definitely one of my favorite people, best friends. Yeah, and he's done so well. Very proud of him.
And then Anthony Harder's moving to Australia. Did he move already, or is he in the process of that?
I think today's the 2nd. I know he's gone. I think he's actually flying out today.
Nice.
Yeah, he is the one person that I pretty much owe a lot and almost everything to for where I'm at today. And I've said it in posts before, I've told him, but, like, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for him. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for him. He's a pretty big part of my life.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. Smart. Super smart. I think too smart for his own good.
Then we got Dean Guido. We can't not give him a shout
Mr.
out.
Dean Guido. Dean and Penny. Yeah, can't leave Penny out of it.
Oh, totally. Like, Penny's smart.
Penny's very smart,
Yeah.
but Dean has made some big leaps for himself.
Super cool to see. And then for him, it's just like a person might see his career as a trainer move really fast, but then all that time that went into it before,
Yeah.
like, the life experience really amounted to something huge.
Yes.
And just the relevant university education that he had.
Yeah. And being a teacher, like, the carryover into what he does now is impeccable. So It's really cool to be where I'm at and to know so many people for so many years and to kind of see them explode into what they're doing now. Like known Anthony for years, Andrew just a couple of years now, but like Jeremy Bell, who's now in Kelowna doing his own thing. We go back to World Health Days, and like I mentioned, Jordan Taylor, like World Health Days, like that's 4 or 5 years now under their belt, and it's just really cool to now kind of be a part of that.
Yeah.
And like Dean, I saw him compete for the first time at GPC Nationals in 2016, and like he just was terrifying.
Yeah.
And now I know him, and he's just such a cool dude. Doesn't scare me anymore.
Did he stick his tongue out when he lifted?
He was probably the most vascular one there, and he has a picture of him deadlifting, and it's just like veins.
Oh, it's that picture.
Yes, it's that picture.
Yeah.
And so yes, he was terrifying
Yeah.
that day. Oh my, I'm never going to talk to this person. But to be fair, that meet absolutely terrified me. To see some of the people in there, it was just an experience, and now I'm hooked.
And then like him and Anthony basically like crushed continuing education for like a number of years. Just like learned as much as their brains would fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to bear witness to that. Like sometimes just like Dean would try and summarize what he was learning, and none of it really made sense to me, and then I'd have to wait like a few months for it to start to make sense to me, or for him to be able to like articulate it in a slowed down manner. Because like so much of the material that they did, they would cram that like as fast as they could. They were basically, it was like high intensity interval training with information in their brain. Like,
yeah, they're like next level intelligent, and it's with Anthony. I'm not surprised, and I shouldn't say like I'm surprised with Dean, because I'm not. It's just like, how are you doing this? How are you absorbing this much information and functioning? Because it can be very overwhelming and debilitating to an extent.
Well, that's kind of, I never saw it affect any of their interactions other than like the downtime. Like when they're just between clients and going to reset, and just some of the stuff that they'd say, I'm like, what? It's just, there's so much information going through.
You can't process it.
And it's cool to see, because like anybody that would ever be like, oh man, like I'm seeing people that are getting places in their career, and it's like they put in work.
Yeah.
Like
it doesn't just happen.
You put in the work, you do the same thing consistently, you make it happen. If it's Andrew Coates, he's drinking the Giants milk, and I make jokes, but like he thrives off of his routine. Mm-hmm. And because he's put in that routine over time through all the ups and downs of his life, it's paid off. Yeah. And it's just a reminder for anybody listening that say there's like newer trainers listening, and they're, oh, well, how do I make a go of it? Well, you identify a few things in your life, and you figure out what you need, and you keep that around, and you make that continue, and continue, and continue. And maybe that means you gotta have your ice cream every week. Well, that's a non-negotiable now. So, I have a question that I ask all of my guests, and it is, if you had one piece of advice on how to authentically live your life to the fullest, what would that piece of advice be?
Speak from the heart.
Sweet.
Yeah. I got asked actually last week how I speak with such, I guess, wisdom. I don't think I speak with wisdom, but like she just said, like, you speak so well, you're so good with words, how I want to be like you, how do I do this? And my best response was just speak from the heart, because everything, I don't have to think about what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is honest and true, and the only way you can speak like that is, I believe, if it comes from the heart.
Agreed. And that summarizes it up. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Good episode. I really enjoyed that episode. The first one of season 2, kind of exciting, with this being a podcast that, you know, like anybody starts something and it's like, well, are they going to keep it up? Well, I kept it up for a full year. Thanks for the support up to this point. We are now 64 episodes into the lifestyle chase. I hope you're subscribed. That would be pretty freaking sweet. And if you're not, I understand. Just try to listen to more than one episode. That would mean a lot. If you can, pick a stranger. Pick a stranger to learn more about. Because honestly, you can learn something about everybody. And if that's where your head is at, you're going to go places. I truly believe it. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.